Outlaw Sports is brought to you by Molson Canadian, made from Canada, and Rocky Mountain Barbecue, Alberta barbecue cuisine at its best.
Who knows what's going to happen to head coach Brent Sutter of the Flames? Not under contract for next year, which is kind of surprising. Most NHL coaches don't want to have that looseness for the next year, but Brent doesn't have a contract. Eric Francis on Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday. Did you see him? He goes, just saying, if Tom Rainey is gone from the Oilers, maybe Brent Sutter goes up to Edmonton and coaches the Oilers next year. Nothing substantial about that. What do you think about what Eric... That's balls to do that on Hockey Night in Canada.
Especially on a national program. You got to give Francis credit. I don't know. I don't know if I completely buy it. I mean, I know he wants to coach in Alberta, and I know he wants to be close to home. Obviously, he's got his major junior team, the Red Deer Rebels. Yeah, there's a lot of reason for him to be in Alberta, but is Edmonton the right spot for him? Maybe he looks at it and says, yeah.
He's had his best success with young players, be it World Juniors, all the best, and Red Deer was pretty good. So that's a fit right there. Do the Flames want him, though, Pat? That's the thing, too. Do the Flames want to re-sign him?
It still hinges on whether or not they make the playoffs. If they miss the playoffs for a third consecutive year, how do you sell that to your fan base? How do you say, hey, we're bringing him back? Because they'd have to renew him, and that would be news. It wouldn't be as if they would just keep him. They'd have to renew his contract and say, hey, we haven't made the playoffs in 3 years, but we're okay with this coach. And I think that when you look at it, you miss the playoffs for a third consecutive year. I happen to think Brent's a good coach. I think he's a smart man. I think that he has a lot of good ideas for motivation, and I think he has a lot of good ideas for how he wants teams to play the game. But 3 years with basically the same group, it hasn't worked. I think you probably have to move on if you're the Calgary Flames, and that doesn't mean that Brent's not a good coach, but maybe a better fit elsewhere.
And we'll see if that happens, if Eric Francis' thoughts come true.
Feeling the winter chill? Call the experts at Simply Yours Windows and Doors. Get the job done right, on time, and on budget. Their #1 concern is your comfort.
Okay, just about a couple of weeks ago in the regular season, 3 weeks, I guess, Flames have 9 games as we tape this. They're on the road for a while. Everybody says now with Sidney Crosby coming back and Chris Letang, Pittsburgh Penguins, here is the Stanley Cup. The NHL is going to postpone the playoffs this year and award the Stanley Cup. But I don't know about this. I always worried. Remember the Green Bay Packers? I thought they were Super Bowl champs for sure. They didn't win it. They lost in the playoffs. So do you think we're anointing the Penguins too readily, too quickly with the Cup?
I think they are coming out of the Eastern Conference, but there's a big if there. That is that Crosby doesn't go out for another extended period of time. We've seen him out twice this season for extended stretches. So Crosby's got to stay healthy, and Letang's got to stay healthy. These are guys that have both battled with injuries, concussion and head-related injuries all year long. So there's a big if that goes along with it. I mean, I think they're, even without Crosby, I think they're still a top 3 Eastern Conference team.
Oh, for sure.
The way Malkin has played, the way Neal has played, the way Fleury has played, it's a good hockey team. They're deep and they're dangerous. But I look at it and I say, you know what, if they have Crosby, I think they can beat any team in the Eastern Conference over a 7-game series. But to just hand them the Stanley Cup and say they're going to get past Vancouver, they're going to get past Detroit, that's a little presumptuous. And St. Louis is a team that I think will be tough against any team they play. So I just think it's a little presumptuous to say they're going to win. They're good and they're a favorite, but there's some other really good teams.
Even in the East, the Boston Bruins down and out a little bit, but who knows? Defending champs, still pretty good. But look, on the weekend, the Philadelphia Flyers were down to the Penguins on Sunday. They come up and they win in overtime. Brizgalov, I believe, is the NHL #1 star again this week, like he was last week. The crazy guy in net for the Flyers is playing extremely good hockey, shutting out most teams. So the Flyers could be good. So be cautious, fans, on the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're good, but I love this when there's a team to beat. I've said this before. I love when the Yankees are in the playoffs. I love when the Packers are there. I love when Tiger Woods is there. But I love seeing who can knock off the best teams. So to me, it's a great scenario. Okay, that's our hockey talk. When we come back, we're going to talk a little lacrosse and UFC.